What's up, people? Biz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the newly released Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, and where to begin. Where to begin. I don't remember in the recent past a movie that has had so much riding on it. Here you have a movie that puts two of the most beloved comic book characters together, going nose to nose, toe to toe, duking it out to see who's the ultimate superhero. Here you have just a fanboy's absolute wet dream come true. Batman versus Superman together in a movie, again, toe to toe, nose to nose, duking it out over the soul of every fanboy across the globe. So the stakes there alone are super, super high. Also, the stakes are incredibly high with the studio Warner Brothers. They've put multi-hundred millions of dollars behind this film in the hopes that it will be the launching point to create an entire universe of DC comic films, Justice League movies, Wonder Woman movies, Batman movies, Aquaman movies, Flash movies, on and on and on, to try and, copy what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done, and done incredibly well. So I don't remember a movie that's a huge event movie like this, but there's so much riding on the line for it, not just in the minds and hearts of fanboys across the world, but for a studio as well. This is a huge investment for Warner Brothers, and I don't remember a movie of this status, of this stature, of this event type status that has just been absolutely eviscerated by the critics. They've called it a failure. They've called it a mess. They've called it pretentious. They've called it boring. They've called it overlong. They had the critical establishment have absolutely destroyed a Batman v Superman. They've drug it through the mud and then drug it back, and they've drug it through the mud multiple times. I've not seen a movie of this size take such a pummeling from critics in a very, very long time. So I was really excited to want to watch this movie, because my hope was it's either going to be really, really bad, like one of those movies that is just shockingly bad, or it may be, maybe it's good, maybe it's actually good. What do the critics know? Critics sometimes don't get it sometimes. Mainstream critics, at least, they don't get it. We say that a lot with horror movies. Mainstream critics, they just don't get horror movies. My worst fear is that it would just be kind of meh, just middle of the road, not good. And after sitting down and watching it, it's all over the place. It's all three of those things rolled into one. There's parts of it that are really bad. There's parts of it that are kind of good. And there's big chunks of it that are just, boring to the point of being near comatose. We're talking about a 2.5 hour movie that was probably originally a 3+ hour movie. As a matter of fact, Zack Snyder said he's going to release, or that the director's cut that's coming out on Blu-ray soon will not only be R-rated, but it will be 3 hours. And you could tell this probably was a much longer movie because it felt very pared down. Even at 2.5 hours, I can't imagine a 3 hour long version of this movie. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is a bladder bursting, butt numbing mess. It's a mess. It's a messy, messy, messy movie that does have highs and lows. Now, the plot is Batman doesn't like Superman because he sees him as this guy who just has unlimited powers, and if he wanted to at any given moment, he could wipe out humanity like that. That to Batman is a threat. Batman wants him dead. That's enough for Batman to want him dead. He could be a threat. So, let me take him out. You've got Lex Luthor there playing the puppet master, just manipulating everyone to his own fiendish will. And Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I've never seen a performance like this. He either is playing Lex Luthor as a character who has multiple personalities, is bipolar, is paranoid schizophrenic, and if that was his aim, this man is brilliant. Jesse Eisenberg is a brilliant actor because his personality changes from scene to scene. Even the way he talks changes from scene to scene. It's a baffling performance. I liked it on one aspect because it was kind of silly and goofy, almost a satire of a supervillain. On another hand, he was so annoying. So annoying. So I'm torn there because on one hand, I liked the performance and I thought it was kind of entertaining because, again, it's almost as if he was playing it as a satire. On the other hand, whoa, so annoying. So annoying. But that very thin plot, we get that thin, super thin plot, is the first entire hour of the movie. I was totally disinterested. I was totally bored. You're sort of treading this ground that you already know. Superman, played again by Henry Cavill, who a lot of people think that he's very cold and detached as Superman, like he's just sort of, there's not much going on there. I don't mind him as Superman. I liked him better in Man of Steel than I did here, but I think he did a fine job as Superman. But he's still sort of grappling with this, I'm Superman, but I don't know if I like being Superman. I don't know if I really like these superpowers. I don't know if I'm really using them to. Should I use them? Should I not? If I do use them, am I going to use them to the best of their potential? Oh goodness, Dear Diary. Kind of stuff like that, which wasn't that like at least an hour and a half of Man of Steel was his turmoil over being Superman, Superman's turmoil over being Superman. Why drag it into this movie? Batman, played by Ben Affleck, and I think Ben Affleck did a fine job as Batman. I think he did a fine job as Batman. I never, I wasn't one of those haters who, as soon as they heard Ben Affleck was going to play Batman, they just lost their minds. They could not see Ben Affleck as Batman. He did a perfectly fine job as Batman. This is a very, very different kind of Batman that we've seen in the other films. He is a grumpy, disillusioned, he's just a grumpy old Batman. He's a grumpy old Batman. And that also kind of, to me, sort of did a disservice to Batman, because he's just kind of, in this movie, not the performance, but just how he's written. He just seems kind of blah to me. Kind of, he's kind of like, Superman's, I'm Superman, but I don't know if I like it. Here, Batman's just like, he's like the Clint Eastwood from El Torino Batman. Gran Torino, I'm sorry. The Clint Eastwood Gran Torino Batman. he's just so surly and pissed and disillusioned, and he's just kind of, you know, get off my lawn. I don't know, it's just a weird depiction of Batman. I liked it to some extent, but it just kind of got a little old. It got a little old to me. The movie's totally, like, humorless. There's a couple of, like, little one-liney things toward the end to kind of lighten things up, but it's so humorless. It's so dark. It's so, I don't know, it's sort of, the title says a lot about the movie. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. That title is overlong, semi-pretentious, and just kind of boring. And the film is semi-pretentious, overlong, and kind of boring. That first hour of the movie, I really could not care at all. I really could not care. That first hour was difficult. That was a difficult first hour to get to. It seems like they could have got that first hour over in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes. Now, from there, we lead into the second act. We finally get to see Batman and Superman duke it out. And it's actually, that sequence was coming off that first hour when we finally see Batman and Superman going at it. Thank God something was happening at this point. It was my initial thought. Thank God something's going to happen at this point. And that sequence actually wasn't bad. Their fight is really kind of the highlight of this movie. Now, it doesn't last very long. The end of it, Batman and Superman, they kiss and make up over this coincidence. And Batman goes from, he's got to die, he's got to die. He's going to die. He's got to die. Dead Superman's a good Superman. A good Superman's a dead Superman. To, now I'm your friend, and I've got your back, and we're gonna do this together. We're best buddies now. Over this coincidence, and everything just changes. Okay. Okay. That leads into the final act, which is just a sort of uninteresting, CGI-laden, continuous action sequence where we have Batman and Superman, and then finally they kind of decide, you know, Wonder Woman is in the film, but for the most part, she just, the first two acts of the movie, she's in and out, and she's just there to look good in fancy dresses with cleavage, and yeah. And then in the last act, when she's like, hey, I'm Wonder Woman, and now I'm here to kick ass, you know, she looks good. She kicks ass. She just didn't have much else really to do other than to, there's an, oh my God. Bruce Wayne sends her an email with, it's like this, it's the sloppiest thing I've ever, it's so sloppy. Bruce Wayne sends Wonder Woman an email. Like, hey, check out these attachments. And it's video footage of other superheroes that are going to be in the Justice League movie, and on and on and on. He sends her an email with videos, like, attached. What? Okay. So finally we've got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're all there. Wonder Woman's finally kind of doing something in the movie other than to just look good and cleavage. And Amy Adams. I really like Amy Adams. I think she's a good actress. I think she's good as Lois Lane. But, oh man, they have wedged her into this so uncomfortably. It's like they know we got to have Amy Adams in this movie. She's got, you know, we've got to have Lois Lane, and there's got to be, you know, this tension, and blah. She's so uncomfortably wedged into this movie. Not quite as uncomfortably as Wonder Woman is until the end, that I just kind of felt sorry for her, because she deserved better. She deserved better. And the ending, like I said, just a disinteresting gob of CGI, like flicked onto the screen like a booger. just big CGI, explosions, action. Then the movie ends. It's a mess, and I can't, Zack Snyder is very much a director who is all about, I don't want to say style over substance, because I've liked a lot of Zack Snyder movies. I've liked just about every Zack Snyder movie, to be perfectly honest with you. But that Zack Snyder style, it just felt so overbearing in this movie. It just felt so... The movie just itself felt... I heard someone leaving the movie go... After I walked out of the movie, I heard someone go, that was depressing. It just has this sort of depressing mood to the movie. It's not, the Christopher Nolan Batman films were dark. This movie is dark to the point where it feels depressing. Visually, it's depressing. I know that's not what they were going for a visual standpoint. I know, I'm sure Zack Snyder in the meetings didn't go, visually, depressing. Yeah. But that's kind of how it felt from a visual point of view. It's the writing. It's the writing that's the problem. This feels like two movies shoehorned into one. Lex Luthor almost feels like two different villains shoehorned into one. Superman is still kind of the whiny emo Superman. Batman is again the Clint Eastwood Gran Torino, disillusioned, pissed off, gruff kind of Batman. It feels uneven. It feels, that first hour just felt totally unfocused, felt totally meandering. A lot of the setups, especially for the future movies, just felt so awkward and sloppy. That email. Batman sends Wonder Woman an email to set up the Justice League movie. The characters, it's a very, very sloppy movie, and I think a lot of it has to do with the writing. And I'm not sure. Again, I don't know if it just feels like it is kind of a train wreck. It's very sloppy. It's very messy. It's very all over the place. It shouldn't be 2.5 hours long. That first hour of the film is difficult to sit through. The Batman versus Superman, when they actually duke it out, is the highlight of the movie. That's the best part of the movie. They unfortunately end it on, like I said, this coincidence, and Batman just goes from, I hate you, you have to die, to, now I'm your... Literally, he goes to, from that, to literally the next scene, he tells someone that he's Superman's friend. I don't know. I don't know. It's not the kind of movie that I can just... This is the kind of movie that should have... I want to almost say that it's okay. The movie's okay. But this is a movie that can't be okay. This is a movie that can't even be just good. This needed to be a great movie. This needed to be a great movie. And it's not. Now, granted, it's made a ton of money. And it's going to launch the DC superhero universe. So it's made a lot of money, and it's so, it's lived up to that part of it. It will successfully launch the DC comic universe, but it's it's succeeded beside, it's failed upwards, put it that way. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice has failed upwards. So, I don't know. I can't recommend it, but at the same time, I can't tell you not to go watch it, because even though it's a train wreck, even though it's messy, even though it's sloppy, I still kind of want to tell you, you need to go see it just to kind of see it and wrap your mind around it, because movies like this don't come along very often. Movies with this much hype, with this much riding on the line, that kind of failed in the way that it does in a lot of regards. It has some good moments, but overall, just messy. Very, very messy. Very messy. In that first hour. Oh, Lord. I don't know if anything happened after the credits, because when that... Even the ending of the movie, they didn't know how to end the movie. The movie has like 3 endings, or 3 sequences that could have been endings, and they just kept going and kept going and kept going. I don't know if there was anything after the credits, because once the movie was over, I beelined it to the bathroom. My bladder was about to explode inside me. There's even, speaking of my bladder exploding, there's a pivotal plot point. There's a pivotal plot device that is literally a jar of urine. A jar of urine is a pivotal plot point in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. A jar of urine. And I'll end it on that. If you've seen Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, please let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Yeah, what a movie. What a movie. Anyway, we're going to do an entire show this Thursday on the Sausage Factory just discussing Batman v Superman. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the Sausage Factory, I'll put a link in the description below. Absolutely, go subscribe to the Sausage Factory. Tune in live this Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we try and make sense of it. We try and make sense of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Should be a really, really interesting show. You guys don't want to miss that. So anyway. Thanks for watching. I've droned on for almost 22 minutes about this movie. Can't believe it. Oh God. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Take care. And until next time, peace.